Instead of watching me talk for 10 minutes, I'll give you a slideshow of some of my photos here on screen instead. Enjoy! Free speech in Sweden, does it exist? Well, let me start by saying this. Sweden is a left-wing authoritarian state. It is socialist, and I would say bordering on communism. There's even a former, and we all really know that they at heart are still communists. They used to be called the Left Party the Communists, and they usually get around 5 to 10% in the polls, usually. But the current ruling government is a coalition between the Socialist Party and the Green Party, which has had connections with the Islamists. So is there free speech in Sweden? In theory, yes. In reality, no. In Sweden, and in Europe I will add, we don't have the First Amendment that the US has. There are hate speech laws, etc. In Germany, for example, social media companies face big fines if they don't comply with hate speech laws. In the United Kingdom, people have been arrested for writing posts online criticizing Islam after terror attacks. In Sweden, people have been convicted of hate speech for writing offensive words online. For example, people have used the N-word in online forums. In one case, a guy who hosts a website, he got 4 months prison because someone used the N-word in the comments section. Yes, you heard that right. He merely ran the site, he didn't write the comment himself. Someone else used the N-word in a comment in the comments field, and boom, hate speech. Boom, jail time. Now, of course, I agree you shouldn't use the N-word, but everyone should have the right to free speech. And that includes speech that people may find offensive. Free speech doesn't care about your feelings. And you might have heard of the bacon guy in Sweden, if you watched one of my previous videos. He was sitting on a train with bacon, and there were some Muslim women on the train, and the guy ate the bacon and dangled it in front of them, while allegedly saying offensive comments. Of course, he's now prosecuted for hate crime. And to be honest, there shouldn't even be a thing called hate crime. People are allowed to hate. It is not a crime to hate. As long as you don't physically hurt anyone. But let's be honest, what comes under the definition of hate crime is rarely hate. It is often just normal people questioning the narrative, or people that have a different opinion. Hey, in the United Kingdom, misogyny is now apparently a hate crime. Yeah, if you approach a woman in the wrong way, in other words, not with according to the politically correct SJW safe space narrative, then you could be investigated for hate crime. Dare to question everything. If someone tells you that certain topics are off limits, you should ask yourself, why? Is there something someone is trying to hide here? Surely, if everything was as they said, then I wouldn't mind you questioning it or looking up the evidence for yourself, right? And what or who decides what is deemed a hate crime? Political correctness, obviously. Let's have a look at where political correctness comes from, shall we? In fact, political correctness was invented by the Frankfurt School. The Frankfurt School was run by literal communists. There they invented cultural Marxism along with political correctness. Political correctness is part of cultural Marxism. The man that is considered the leading figure of the student revolutions in the 60s and 70s was one of the members of the Frankfurt School. And I think we all know that the student revolutions in the 60s and 70s is why and where the left, or actually the communists, won the culture wars. That is how we got culture Marxism. The rest is history, and we are where we are today with all the mess they left us. In other words, political correctness was literally invented by communists. Why on earth should we even consider towing the line? Why? I mean, why? Communism has killed more people than any other ideology on earth. It has killed at least 100 million people, probably more. Communism should never be obeyed. Never. Communism must be gotten rid of, and despite what people may think, it is alive and well in the West right now via cultural Marxism. In other words, it is not economical communism, it is social communism. And that is what we are seeing today. Back to Sweden. For example, a Christian preacher was taken to court for preaching certain verses from the Bible that's in violation of political correctness, namely regarding the Bible's teachings on homosexuality. The preacher was initially found guilty under Swedish law for hate speech. He was, however, later freed on the grounds that he would have won the case if he had taken it all the way to the European Court of Justice, which is a European court, not a Swedish court, and since Sweden is part of the EU, it has to follow the rulings of that court. Who would have thought that the EU has more free speech than Sweden? That's how bad Sweden is. Obviously, homeschooling is illegal in Sweden. You wouldn't want to raise children that might, question the official socialist narrative that young kids get pushed into their heads by the indoctrination camps called schools. If you homeschool kids, then they could grow up thinking for themselves, Oh, the horror. Independent humans, Then they wouldn't vote for more higher taxes, more immigration, more political policies designed to replace Sweden with the third world. We can't have that. Oh no, absolutely not. Oh no. Dissenters who disobey risk getting their children taken into foster care by force, especially if the parents are Christian or right-wing. If not taken, they will at least get huge fines. One child whose parents were due to move abroad in just a few weeks decided to homeschool the child instead of putting him in public school, merely for the reason they saw no point in putting him in there for just a few weeks. So they homeschooled him. Got on a plane to leave Sweden. Bam! In comes armed police with machine guns on the plane. Grabs them, separates the child, and that was that. He was in foster care from 2009. He is old enough now to see his parents if he wants, but for some reason he doesn't want to meet his parents anymore. I wonder what they told him while he was in foster care. I wonder what they told him about his parents. This was a kid that was kidnapped by the state. State napping. You see, in Sweden, all children have a school duty. Every child must go to school. How else are they supposed to be brainwashed into good little socialists towing the party line? Dissenters, in other words, right-wingers, are not liked in Sweden. Neighbors are encouraged to report on each other if they see something that's not deemed acceptable in the eyes of the state. That's, you would say, I know you probably say, what? Wait, that's something they did in Soviet. And yeah, you probably start to understand now why I said Sweden is bordering on communism. You probably start to understand what I meant when I said Sweden is authoritarian socialist and bordering on communism. I wasn't joking around. To summarize, Sweden is not a socialist liberal utopia by any means, which many liberals and leftists seem to think it is. It has an authoritarian socialist government that's bordering on communism, has one of the highest tax rates in the world, escalating violent crime, public services going down the toilet, all the while funding migrants who are slowly, or rather worryingly quickly, changing the boots on the ground in Sweden. And many of these things you're not allowed to talk about. There is something called the opinion corridor. You step outside of it, bam! You're quickly shunned. There can be social consequences, can be consequences from the government, as in with the case with the guy that I talked about earlier, that got 4 months in prison for hosting a website which someone posted a offensive comment on. There's no free speech in Sweden. All the while things are going downhill in Sweden, and you're not allowed to talk about it. But I guess that's how the communists want it. There is no free speech in Sweden. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe if you like this video. And make sure to press the bell button as well so you don't miss any notifications when my new videos come out. Thanks.